Hi guys, welcome to Edify Academy. Today we'll be discussing a few topics on conservation. This comes under geography and we are preparing for the prelims 2020. So let's begin. The first four topics for conservation include the Ratapani Tiger Reserve, the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, the Antarctic Ocean Sanctuary, and the Conference of Parties, that's COP14 that recently happened. So let's start with the smallest topic, that's the Ratapani Tiger Reserve. To be made in Madhya Pradesh, the Madhya Pradesh government has already taken permission from the National Tiger Conservation Authority. That's the apex authority that decides if one location can be made into a tiger reserve. So the Ratapani Tiger Reserve will now become the seventh tiger reserve in Madhya Pradesh. And as you know, Madhya Pradesh holds one of the largest number of tigers in India. It's just a small topic. You can also look at the number of tiger reserves that Madhya Pradesh already has. That's six, and the names and where they are placed. Let's look at the Ratapani Tiger Reserve on the map of India. As you can see, the Ratapani Tiger Reserve is to be carved out of the Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary, and it's closer to the city of Bhopal. In its closer proximity here, we are expecting a lot of tourists from Bhopal, hence we'll be able to get a lot of income for this tiger reserve and sanctuary. And close by, you will also find your Dehgaon Bamori range, and in the south, we're able to see your Satpura National Park, which we already saw in the list is one of the national parks or tiger reserves of Madhya Pradesh, right? So let's get back. This is the news for Ratapani Tiger Reserve, something to remember. Please remember what it is going to be carved out of, and also remember a few names of these tiger reserves. The next article is the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. The Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve came into news because the tourists who visit come with drones. So these drones are actually creating a nuisance for animals in the Biosphere Reserve. For example, the drones are scaring away elephants, the drones are killing small river birds like terns, and the drones are actually being targeted by birds of prey like hawks and eagles, presuming that these drones are also smaller birds, and they're attacking these drones. Now these drones and their rotors and fans, they're actually harming these eagles and hawks, right? Hence this reserve came into the news. So what can be done regarding the drones? Now drones are not allowed in eco-sensitive areas without the permission of the chief wildlife warden. Now this needs to be sensitized to the tourists, the forest department, and the local authorities, because the people do not know what is allowed and what isn't, hence they do whatever they think is right. Okay, so the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve was the first biosphere reserve of India. It opened in 1986. It's situated at a junction of the eastern and the western Ghats. This is where eastern and western Ghats meet. It is also situated at the tri-junction of the three states, that is Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. Okay, so the fauna includes important animals like the tigers, elephants, Nilgiri, Taher, lion-tailed macaque, and other animals. Also, we have tribes, and the most important of these tribes that you need to know is the Chola Naikans, which is the only surviving hunter-gatherers of the Indian subcontinent. These animals that have been mentioned are a part of the IUCN Red List. So the IUCN Red List is basically an inventory of global conservation status of biological species. It contains a list of animals that fall under different categories. Now the animals that we saw today, that is the tiger, the Nilgiri Taher, and the lion-tailed macaque and the elephant, they all fall under the threatened category of IUCN Red List. Under the threatened, the subcategory of endangered is where they fall. Tigers, we have Asian elephants, we have lion-tailed macaques, and we have the Nilgiri Taher. Okay, so back to conservation. We also see under the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve a few national parks and other wildlife sanctuaries which are a part of it. For example, the Bandipur, the Madumalai, the Wayanad, the Nagarhole, and the Mukurthi and the Silent Valley National Parks. Let's look at Biosphere Reserve on the Indian map. In the map of India, the Biosphere Reserve is located at the tri-junction of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. So if we zoom in, you'll be able to see that the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve entrance, although is at Tamil Nadu, however, the Biosphere Reserve extends into this entire region of greenery that you are seeing on this map. Okay, for example, here you'll find the Nagarholi National Park, here you'll find the Bandipur National Park, and the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. You'll also be able to see, you'll also find the tri-junction of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. Okay, so this is your Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. Back to conservation. Let's head on to more international important topics. Now, the Antarctic Ocean sanctuary. And this was a proposed sanctuary which was shot down by China and Russia. It was proposed by France and other countries. They wanted to preserve the wildlife of Antarctica. China and Russia said no because it has a lot of fishing potential and a lot of seafood can be accrued from this region. Now, the proposal was to create a sanctuary around the Weddell Sea in Antarctic Ocean. Let's look at the placement of Weddell Sea in the map of the world. So, Weddell Sea comes below South America. It forms a part of the Antarctic basin, and you can see that it's a very huge region, right? It forms a pretty big region. Let's get back to conservation, right? So this is where they wanted the sanctuary to be created, but it was shot down. Anyway, it was supposed to be a 1 million square kilometer of ocean protection for fishes and important species like krill and whales. Now, krill, as you know, is one of the keystone species of the oceans, and krill is a very important food source for a lot of species which lie under the ocean and above the ocean. Okay, other animals like penguin, seals, and whales would have also been protected under this wildlife sanctuary, but was shot down. Anyway, now this proposal can only happen at the Commission of Conservation of Antarctic Marine Life Resources, that is CCA-MLR. Now this is where the meeting happened, and this is where they were shot down. CCA-MLR is actually a part of the Antarctic Treaty. Okay, so we'll get into the Antarctic Treaty a little later. So the CCA-MLR was created to determine how to use the marine living resource of the Antarctic region, right? So it basically now helps to curb exploitation of krill and other marine resources from the Southern Ocean, okay? Because krill, as I told you, is a very important species, okay? So it has 26 member countries with 10 more countries that will be acceding to it. And CCA-MLR, as you know, is a part of the Antarctic Treaty System. Let's look at the Antarctic Treaty System. So the Antarctic Treaty System initially contained of 12 countries that came together in the International Geophysical Year. The International Geophysical Year was basically a commemorative year where a lot of information started to flow between the eastern and the western edges of the world, between the eastern and the western powers of the world, which was stopped initially due to the Cold War. Okay, so it was in 1957-58 this year, from July to December 1957-58, and this is where 12 countries came together to form a treaty for Antarctica. Okay, so the Antarctic Treaty System, and they promised that it will be used only for peaceful purposes. The region of Antarctica, they promised, would only be used for peaceful purposes. Okay, which means there'll be no weaponization in Antarctica, there'll be no nuclear weapons or nuclear waste which will be disposed of in Antarctica. And if the weapons used in Antarctica, it will only be for scientific use. This treaty applies to 60 degrees south latitude and everything underneath. That's basically from 60 degrees to 90 degrees south latitudes. Okay, and it's the first arms control treaty of Cold War, because Cold War was, as you know, it was all about arms race, and this was the first treaty in the Cold War that focused on arms control. So the Antarctic Treaty System, and it is a very important treaty under the UN. Okay, so let's look at the last topic for the day, which is the biggest topic. That's the Conference of Parties, COP14. Now, the theme of this COP14, which happened this year, was to restore land and to sustain future. Now, land has become a major source of conflict. If you look at the Israeli and Palestine war, if you look at the Indo-China-Pak disturbances, it's because of land. Okay, land is a very important resource. The theme was to restore land and to sustain the future, and this year it was hosted by India. Okay, now the topic basically revolved around land degradation. Okay, as you know, in India, for example, we have intensive way of agriculture where we have 3 different crops grown in 3 different seasons in 1 year. Okay, unlike US and other regions where they have 1 crop for that 1 year, which is an extensive form of cultivation. So what is happening is we are losing the quality of land that we initially had. Okay, so land degradation has become a major problem for the world. Now imagine if you're a country and 30% of your land has degraded, it has now become barren. Now what do? You will have to use that 70% of that land to focus on food production for the 100% of the people, right? And if your land reduces to say 50%, which means you only have 50% of your land left to feed the 100% of the people who are still growing, right? So what happens is it creates conflict between countries. Now, for example, if China's land has become barren and it sees that Indian land is more fertile, so China will want to take a part of Indian land to feed its growing population, right? So we'll have conflict on land. So a lot of issues come up when land gets degraded. There's food insecurity, conflict for the land itself, and migration issues. So land degradation was a topic for COP14. So the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change has reported this, that land has taken the brunt of climate change. Because of this, there's increased food insecurity in the world. Okay. Now in India, for example, we have 29% or approximately 96.4 million hectares of land that has already been degraded, which means we only have now 70% of land to depend on for the 100% of the population that is still increasing, right? Same formula. So we need to focus on how to bring this land back. Okay, so the UNCCD, that's the United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification, has mentioned that as the land quantity on Earth is fixed, what's going to happen is the competition is going to increase for good quality of land. This will also increase conflict, it will increase social and political instability, it will create poverty, and it will create opportunities for migration of people, right? All of these disasters are waiting to happen because of land degradation. Okay, so the UNCCD recommends that we follow the theory of land degradation neutrality. This theory states that the quality of land should either be stable or it should scale, that is increase with the change in ecosystem or the scale of ecosystem. Now if we have a barren land, the barren land is now turned into a cropland, which means the ecosystem has scaled or it has changed. So we need to change the quality of the land in accordance to make it equivalent or stable enough to become a cropland, right? So what it's basically stating is we restore barren lands into the quality that it initially was. Okay, so this LDN concept came into being in 2015. It was conceptualized at the UN Conference of Sustainable Development, that's the Rio Plus 20 conference in 2012. Okay, so in 2015, the LDN concept was added to the SDG, and that was the SDG, that's Sustainable Development Goals number 15. That's to combat desertification, a very, very important concept. Now, what they have also initiated in the COP13 is the LDN Fund. Now, the LDN Fund is a one-of-a-kind fund. It is basically funded by the public, but it is managed by a private organization. So this private investment company uses the fund that is given by the public to invest in land remodeling or land restoration activities. Okay. Now the activities include sustainable agriculture, agroforestry, renewable energy, ecotourism, for example. So the money is given by the public or by the countries or by the UN, and this money is utilized by this private investment firm to invest in land activities that will actually benefit the world, right? So this is a one of a kind fund. Okay, a very important fund to remember. Also on a side topic is the Bond Challenge. Okay, the Bond Challenge was a global effort to bring in 150 million hectares of the world's deforested and degraded land into restoration by 2020 and another 320 million by 2030. Okay, now this was initiated by the governments of Germany and the IUCN, and India has happily contributed or volunteered to restore 13 million hectares of land by 2020 and another 8 million by 2030. Okay, so this is the Bond Challenge, and this is what was discussed in the COP14. So this is the conservation topic for today. Let me know if you guys need me to add some other topic onto the list as well. We'll be doing that in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed the class. Do let me know if you want me to add a few more audio-visual aids onto this video. Thank you so much. I'll be seeing you guys in the next class. It's Conservation Part 2. Hope you guys are studying and preparing for the civil services. I'll see you soon. Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you.